This is Chicken Philosophy, the Meccan Revelations, part 57, in which I will pick up right where BT left off in part 56. How's everybody doing today? It's nice today. It's windy, breezy. It's like light gray right now. There's birds flying. It was raining earlier, and it'll probably rain again. This over here, natural light. So that's your weather report for today. For today's beverage, we've got tribute to the late great David Lynch. Got his book here somewhere. Yeah. It's a good book. Maybe we'll flip to a random page and see what it says. We'll take bets now as to whether it'll be directly about, Maharishi, transcendental meditation or something. There's other stuff. He says other stuff there too, but it all kind of comes back to that. No, God bless David Lynch. George Harrison was the same way. I don't fault either one of them for believing in something. It's beautiful. Yeah, all right. Take another sip. I might be putting up Esoteric, or rather BT, Frater BT, so I'm Gwydion. Frater BT is someone else. But anyway, we might be recording an interview tonight with very honored Frater RC. And that'll be episode 136. So that's fun. That doesn't happen every day. If you're in my future and that ended up happening, here's the link to that episode. Bye! If you're going to go listen to that. I'm assuming I will have talked to him. You might recall recently I was reciting from Nag Hammadi Scriptures, and I had said, very honored Frater RC and Joe Zabinski know light years more than I do and would maybe have interesting things to say about this. Maybe I'll pick their brains on the subject next time I've got them, or next time BT's got them on the Esoteric Nerd. So yeah, I hopefully we'll get some clarification about all that stuff. I imagine it's like if you're trying to work within a false dichotomy, if you say there are two kinds of Christianity, there's Orthodox and there's Gnostic Christianity, and then define each of them a little too clearly, although Orthodox defines itself plenty clearly, But anyway, what's the point? There's a lot of other things like Hermeticism, and some context that I had left out, apparently. So he's going to help open our minds about that. See, I used to be in a groupthink, and so it was like I had access to all that. Oh, it's raining now. I had access to all that information kind of at all times, like being surrounded by 20 some odd people, and then another ring of several hundred of people who knew about various aspects to varying degrees about a general subject. And then so I got to experience what it was like to be part of a group brain and then step out of it. And so now it's like, whoa, after, how long has it been? 12 years since I left the group brain. So I noticed the holes in my own brain that used to, get filled in like the frog DNA in Jurassic Park by just someone else would be on either side of me who would just jump in. If somebody said something and I didn't know the answer, they'd say it and I'd be like, yeah, that. But now, so it's like now I want to not only fill that all in, but I don't want to take hazily remembered synopses of other people as my standard of information anymore, especially since I have the luxury of being able to take some time and delve in and just be like, what is all this anyway? Is any of it useful? And to varying degrees, we've read a variety of different things, and it's all varying degrees useful. And this has been, a lot of it's been unexpected, some of it unexpected in unpleasant ways, but mostly unexpected, I mean, pretty expected, but also unexpected in very positive ways. And that's nice. I enjoy that. I enjoy finding a harmonious, like, tonal harmony wavelength with something so Abrahamic as Sufism. It gives me hope that you know, they won't just ruin the whole world, a lot of them, those Abrahamics. Anyway, apologize to any Abrahamics in the audience who might be. So today, our incense, we've got Oud Bakana Oud Samarkand. So those who were paying attention last time, the thumbnail, what's the thumbnail? Yeah, that was the right side thumbnail, this, of the previous Meccan Revelations. And it's, I had said Samarkand or something, but it's Samarkand. I might be saying it wrong again. Oh, I'm wearing the wrong glasses for this sort of thing. Samarkand? Something. Anyway, let's play that. Yeah, I'm going to talk, but I'm showing the footage of the stuff that Editor Edward had put down there rather than... Anyway, so that's a place. But we didn't burn it, so today we'll burn that in honor of it having been a highlight after the fact because of Editor Edward of Meccan Revelation 56. It's good. It's lovely. Okay, lighting it now. Oh, this music, by the way, apparently it's the capital. It's an old. Now, I grew up saying gypsy jazz with nothing but admiration and awe and respect, as much as with any other phrase. And then when I was an adult, everybody started saying you can't say gypsy anymore because it's a slur, and that's a shame because there's... Don't play too much. I don't want to get this video like blocked in Russia. And of course, Tiger Lilies.
They don't care about your beauty. For your
The Tiger Lilies I'm willing to get blocked in Russia for. Anyway, take that how you want. Take it out of context, please. I would love to be taken out of context with that specific. Okay, so we're going to do a few things. First, let's do our David Lynch bibliomancy in honor of the cup that it is black coffee. Not my favorite kind of coffee. It's black coffee because it's in the Twin Peaks cup, and that's how Agent Cooper took his coffee.
Black as midnight on a moonless night.
Exactly. Took the words right out of my mouth, which had been taken out of his mouth, which had been taken out of David Lynch's mouth, is the point. So let's see what he says on random page number. Instead, I think you should try to see the whole film through, and try to see it in a quiet place, on as big a screen as you can, with a good sound system, with as good a sound system as you can. Then you can go into that world and have that experience. If you would like to pause this video now and go pull up the YouTube on your smart TV, your large smart TV in the living room, turn on the surround sound, dim the lights, light a candle, smoke a bowl, and then pick up and watch the rest of this video in that way. Go ahead. All right. If one person did it, it was worth it. What was worth what? I don't know. But yeah, I think we should listen to David Lynch Once in a while. All right. Next, we'll do our usual, the gift bibliomancy. No more leaving. At some point, your relationship with God will become like this. Next time you meet him in the forest or on a crowded street, there won't be any more leaving. That is, God will climb into your pocket. You will simply just take yourself along. They're called Roma now. And Editor Edward, what was the thing about there being a connection between them and, or Romani? Between them and the Sufis? Just as an example, the largest Jarahi Tariqa in Europe is located in the Romani settlement of Suto Orizari in North Macedonia. Jarahi is one of the Sufi brotherhoods. So basically, yeah, it happens. Some Roma, this is Google AI bot, by the way, sorry, I'm being lazy, phoning it in, you might say. While some Roma have fully assimilated into Turkish culture and language, others maintain their Romani identity while practicing Islam and Sufism. Important to note, not all Roma are Muslim or Sufi. There are also Christian Roma, particularly in Eastern Orthodox communities, and some Roma practice other forms of Islam or have adopted other religions. Yeah, it's a thin connection, but we're going with it. So this is the theme of today's episode is what they used to call gypsy jazz. Am I supposed to say Romani jazz? I suppose it depends on who you ask. Sometimes if you go to a First Nations Native American reservation in many places in the U.S., and they say, yeah, well, me and the other Indians, and if you stop them and say, excuse me, you're supposed to call yourselves First Nations peoples, then you're the asshole. I have to say, there is one context where it's okay to not correct the person talking, and they're talking in the first person, plural, right? Or singular. Wow, this beautiful rain. And since I'm not Romani, Roma, one of those, then I shouldn't say gypsy, right? Or maybe I should. I don't know. It's confusing. I don't know how much of a slur that is. The thing is, they came from India, like 1,500 to like 1,100, like over the course of a period of time, they just sort of were like, you know what, we don't like the new emperor, frankly, so we're going to go that way. And so then they just sort of went across the Middle East and ended up in Europe and then all around the world. And they ended up being called gypsies because there was a rumor that they were the descendants of the family who let Jesus and Mary and Joseph stay at their place for a few years, I guess, and people are supposed to be upset about that. It's not true, obviously, but I think that means they're cursed because what did they do? They turned them in or something? Did they tell Herod? I don't think so. But you know how people are with their stupid biblical cursed myths that apply to large groups of people. Anyway, the moral of the story, don't uncover your father's nakedness or people are going to talk a lot of shit. And Lot's daughters were pretty creepy too. Let's pick up where we left off, shall we? Shifting gears a little bit to Quranic mysticism. 4, that's a Roman numeral 4. Ibn Arabi's personal mirage. And remember, mirage, M-I-R-A with a hat, J, is ascension, right? Spiritual rising up, not heat waves on the horizon in a desert looking like a lake or something. Okay, 4. A. The departure from the elemental world. So when God wished to, quote, journey with me, to cause me to see, bracket parentheses, some, end bracket parentheses, of his signs, end quote, in his names among my names. And that was the portion of our inheritance from the bracket parentheses prophets and bracket parentheses nocturnal journey. He removed me from my place and ascended with me on the burak of my contingency. Then he penetrated with me into my bracket parentheses natural and bracket parentheses elements dot 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 dot. Then italics, so Michel Chodkiewicz. Now that was Ibn Arabi talking, believe it or not. Here's Michel Chodkiewicz. At this point, Ibn Arabi, you like my French accent? It's so French. At this point, I won't try. At this point, Ibn Arabi allegorically encounters each of the elements constituting the physical sublunar world, according to the accepted physical theories of his time, i.e., earth, water, air, and fire, and leaves behind with each of them the corresponding part of his bodily nature. Man, now we're back to Ibn Arabi. So I passed through into the first heaven. Nothing remained with me of my bodily nature that I, bracket parentheses, needed to, and bracket parentheses, depend on, or to which I, bracket parentheses, had to, and bracket parentheses, pay attention. 4b. Adam and the first heaven. It certainly is, isn't it? If that was unfamiliar. This is Michel Chodkiewicz in italics. As Ibn Arabi explains in this section, it was during this encounter with his father that he was first given the immediate spiritual awareness of two key themes of his thought: the universality of the divine mercy, which, like the being that is inseparable from it, quote, encompasses all things, end quote, and flowing from this first principle, the temporal, limited nature of the punishments of, quote, hell, end quote, with a capital H, bracket parentheses, and the sufferings of the world as a whole, end bracket parentheses, which manifests certain of those names. The discovery and awareness of these principles presupposes man's ultimate reality as the, quote, perfect man, end quote.
God damn.
The bracket parentheses potentially, and bracket parentheses complete reflection of the divine reality and all its levels of manifestation, i.e., the very foundation of the Shaikh's metaphysical vision, which is developed at much greater length in the famous opening chapter on Adam in the Fusus. At the beginning of this encounter, Ibn Arabi, like Muhammad before him, suddenly sees his, quote, essential reality, end quote, or Ein, fans of the veils of negative existence might be raising an eyebrow. Among the souls of the blessed on Adam's right, while at the same time he himself remains standing in front of Adam. Then Adam goes on to inform him that the Quranic expressions, quote, the people of the left hand, end quote, and, quote, the people of the right, end quote, Quran 56:27, 38, 41, 90, etc., refer in reality to Adam's hands. Since all of mankind are in God's right hand, the one, quote, the one which destines, bracket parentheses, them, end bracket parentheses, to happiness, end quote, hyphen, quote, because both of my Lord's hands are right and blessed, end quote. He's got two right hands. Basically, right? Three dots. Now, this is Ibn Arabi talking. Therefore I and my children are, bracket parentheses, all, end bracket parentheses, in the right hand of the truly real, while everything in the world other than us is in the other divine hand. I said, quote, then we shall not be made to suffer, bracket parentheses, in hell, end bracket parentheses, end quote. And bracket parentheses Adam, end bracket parentheses, replied, quote, if bracket parentheses God's bracket parentheses anger were to continue bracket parentheses forever, end bracket parentheses, then the suffering, bracket parentheses, of the damned, end bracket parentheses, would continue. But it is happiness that continues forever. Although the dwellings are different, because God places in each abode, bracket parentheses, of paradise and Gehenna, end bracket parentheses, that which comprises the enjoyment of the book, of the people of that abode, which is why both abodes must necessarily be, quote, filled up, end quote. Both abodes? Both of them? At the same time? I didn't know Muhammad could. I'm sorry, no, being weird. Pay no attention. Crazy man with the hat. See Quran 11:119, etc. I may just. For the bracket parentheses divine and bracket parentheses anger with a capital A, I hate that shit, has already come to an end. With the, quote, greater reviewing, end quote. That's what they call it nowadays. I like it better than Last Judgment. It has a different connotation. Bracket parentheses, well, my friend Chris and I one time, just for shits and giggles, went to a Scientology orientation. And somehow the idea of trillions of years of agonizing pain being what would happen if we didn't sign up right then and there was like more disturbing. I think because you become numb by the time you're, 3.5 years old to the phrase eternity in hell. So somebody putting it in enough of a different way to be like, where you're actually visualizing it and going, oh, that's terrible, like, Jesus. Bracket parentheses God, and bracket parentheses ordered that his bracket parentheses limits, that bracket parentheses his and bracket parentheses limits be established. Can he lift a rock that's so heavy he can't lift it? No, because he said so. Never mind. All right. It's like method acting, I guess. So they were established, and when they were established, bracket parentheses his and bracket parentheses anger, with a capital A, disappeared. Bracket parentheses this is, and bracket parentheses because the sending down of the bracket parentheses divine and bracket parentheses message with a capital M actually is precisely the establishment, bracket parentheses and application, and bracket parentheses, of bracket parentheses gods and bracket parentheses limits for those with whom he is angry. Quran 1:7. You know it's serious if it's one something small, as small as 7. Anyway, and nothing remains, bracket parentheses after that, and bracket parentheses, but bracket parentheses his and bracket parentheses goodwill and mercy, which encompasses everything. Quran 7:156. So when these, quote, limits, end quotes, bracket parentheses and the punishments flowing from them, end bracket parentheses, have come to an end, then the bracket parentheses divine and bracket parentheses authority comes back to the universal mercy with regard to everything. Thus my father Adam granted me the benefit of this knowledge when I was unaware of it, and that was divine good tidings for me in the life of this world, in anticipation, bracket parentheses, of its full realization in the hereafter, and bracket parentheses, therefore the resurrection comes to an end with time. As God said, quote, bracket parentheses, the angels and the Spirit ascend to him in a day whose extent is, bracket parentheses, of 50,000 years, end quote, Quran 74. And this is the period of the establishment, bracket parentheses, and application, and bracket parentheses of the bracket parentheses divine and bracket parentheses limits. Here comes Michel Chodkwitz. He's French, so it's Michael. If anybody was confused and thought Michel was, he had facial hair. You know. Ibn Arabi goes on to explain that bracket parentheses after this period and bracket parentheses, however it is to be understood, only the divine names quote, the merciful, end quote, bracket parentheses, which encompasses all the, quote, most beautiful names, end quote, and bracket parentheses, and, quote, the compassionate, end quote, will have authority and influence in the world, although the intrinsic, logically necessary, quote, opposition, end quote, of the other names necessarily will remain. And then we're back to Ibn Arabi talking, ... Hence the creatures are entirely submerged in bracket parentheses gods and bracket parentheses mercy, and the authority of the bracket parentheses other divine and bracket parentheses names. Bracket parentheses only, and bracket parentheses continues in their intrinsic opposition, but not in us. In italics. Give it some extra oomph, you know. Maybe it'll make sense later, I don't know. So you should know that. For it is a rare and subtle knowledge that bracket parentheses most people and bracket parentheses, well, I'm not bracket parentheses most people and bracket parentheses, do not realize. Instead, ordinary people are blind to it. There is no one among them who, if you were to ask him, quote, are you content to have applied to yourself bracket parentheses the influence and bracket parentheses of those names with a capital N that give you pain, end quote. Don't forget to fuck with the 3 of Swords, everybody, and the 10 of Swords. Just fuck with all the swords and the Tower and the Devil. If you just are like, ooh, I'm over here in the Star card all the time, then you're not going to grow any teeth. You're not going to build any muscle. So I mean, that seems to be what Ibn Arabi is saying. Would not reply, quote, no, end quote, and have the influence of that painful name applied to someone else in his stead. But such a person is among the most ignorant of people concerning the creatures, and he is even more ignorant of the truly real. So this bracket parentheses experience of and bracket parentheses immediate witnessing informed bracket parentheses us and bracket parentheses concerning the continuation of the authority of the names. Bracket parentheses, i.e. other than those of mercy, right? And bracket parentheses, with regard to those names, bracket parentheses, in themselves, and bracket parentheses, but not in us. For those names are relations whose realities are intrinsically opposed, so that bracket parentheses, so that they bracket parentheses can, and bracket parentheses, never become united, bracket parentheses, in a way that would erase their inherent relational distinctions. And bracket parentheses, and I like that they used a way instead of a way, not in a way, but in a way. I like how it sounds, but it's wrong, obviously, but it should be right. But God extends his mercy to bracket parentheses all, and bracket parentheses, his servants, wherever they are, since being is its entirety. Since being in its entirety is mercy. So it's the answer to the age-old question. Oh, how can evil exist? Well, because there's evil in it, but the thing in its entirety is good. I mean, if you're trying to be an apologist for Orthodox, whatever. Just a tip. They might have a retort for that, but what can you do? There it is. I once again enjoyed today's reading. I mean, I don't feel any commentary. I think we were both there. It happens. Hopefully the music was on point at different times. I think I'll switch back to my blue glasses that match the outfit. There we go. It's nice. And yeah. So yesterday we had the Jivaka Kumarabaka Part 2. That was fun. I think, yeah, in the near future, I'm going to string together some of the videos. If you don't know, there's a channel that I have many. So this is 973, Pymander 973, remember this? So this is Pymander Aquarium, the playlist on which this is the 973rd video. It includes all the videos that I've made on YouTube that I'm not too embarrassed to put on the Pymander Aquarium playlist. So in other words, I don't know, maybe a little more than half of my videos are on there. But what I'm gonna put on the end screen is for the future. For you, in my immediate future, in the present, you might see nothing but just pictures. But for the future, as in tomorrow, maybe the next day, there will be the next Going video that I haven't made yet, with footage taken like yesterday and the day before, or something like that. And down here will be the Esoteric Nerd 136 with Very Honored Fredder RC that I'm planning to record tonight. But, sometimes things happen and change. What can you do? So I'm trying to predict the future, trying to organize it, trying to put a net on it, trying to put some reins on it and direct it like that the horses of the senses and the Bhagavad Gita, just leading everybody astray, Trying to do that intentionally, because you got to be a kinky weirdo, that's the only way to do it. So I shouldn't say that with these glasses on. Thank you to David Lynch. Thank you to the Romani musicians from the past many centuries, and especially Django Reinhardt all the greats, and to those who appropriated their culture, like Stefan Grappelli and, everyone else. Thank you for spreading the word, like the Christians spread the word of Jehovah. It's sort of like unwanted advertising campaign. Like, we're going to sell your hamburgers. Oh, great, by telling everyone that they've got jizz in them. But they don't. Yeah, but, they'll sell better. But we're going to sell them. It's like that fucking McDonald's guy in that Apple movie. Was that on Apple? Michael Keaton as the scum of the earth, the McDonald's guy. I like Michael Keaton, but the character was based on an actual guy. So what can you do? All right, next time it's going to be BT doing Carl Jung, so he'll be doing the tarot shit. We had a little bit of tarot shit in this one, but it was a different kind of tarot shit. But you know what I mean. I mean the people watching. And that's it. So, I guess I will bid you a peaceful journey, even if that journey is sitting still. Until next time.